It's all the above, best believe we do it better. I want the fame, the fortune, all the above. I want the checks, the moolah, all the above. From Philadelphia to New York, all the above. Man, tell them other stations they don't do it like us. I want the fame, the fortune, all the above. I want the checks, the moolah, all the above. From Philadelphia to New York, all the above. Man, tell them other stations they don't do it like us. What up?
Hey, what's up, guys? It's your girl, Angel Marie from All of the Above podcast, and I am here today with legendary dancer, choreographer, and director, Travis Payne. How are you?
I am blessed, Angel. Happy to be here. It's such an honor, to meet you and to be on All of the Above. So where do we start?
Yes, thank you. Well, first and foremost, how have you been? How's your day? And tell your mother happy belated birthday. I know you celebrated that as well. Very
you're
big
too
milestone.
kind. You're too kind. Yeah, my lovely mother, Miss Inez, turned 80 years young, July 31st. So we had a great big party for her, both virtual and physical. But yeah, just getting into the groove of like now being back at work full time, and being able to really be in the thick of things where I love to be.
Yes, most certainly. Are you ready to get into this interview?
Of course. Yeah. My pleasure. My honor.
So first and foremost, what inspired you to pursue a career in dance and as a professional choreographer? How did you get your foot into the entertainment industry?
I started in Atlanta, Georgia, where I'm from, and had a wonderful, supportive foundation. Parents came from the education field, so they didn't definitely understand the arts as a job at that time. But I didn't know really what the future held. I just knew that, I was more of an individual type of sports or discipline kind of kid, from Southwest Atlanta. There was not many opportunities to perform yet, like you would see Gary Coleman on Different Strokes, or you saw Macaulay Culkin and Home Alone, but there wasn't that in Atlanta. It wasn't the Mecca that it is now. So I went to Performing Arts High School after I went to a community dance school called Norma's Academy, which celebrated its 52 years in business. And so I had a great sort of circle like that. And I got into Northside School of the Arts, and then went to Morehouse for a little while, where then I met a gentleman who was managing choreographer for Janet Jackson at the time. And so as fate would have it, one of the dancers were leaving Janet's tour, Rhythm Nation, and I was able to grab that spot. And so I always credit Janet Jackson with giving me, my introduction to the world stage. And then, of course, I would go on to have a really great, career as a choreographer following that. But it's always been the love of dance and its ability, along with music, to communicate, to the masses and globally across all mediums that always inspired me.
Yes, I love how everything falls into place. Everything happens for a reason. And
It
that's
does.
quite an inspirational and amazing story that you have.
Well,
Now,
thank you. I mean, that's just a little bit, that's the cliff notes, but I definitely am a firm believer of, one's purpose. Once you find it, it's easy to excel, just stay out of your way. Right. And of course, have a strong faith, God first, your family matters, and having a support system of creatives who are like-minded, going in the same direction, in the same car as you, and getting
that's
to that.
key. Now, when you first started out as a choreographer years ago, what would you say was one big challenge that you faced, and how did you overcome that?
Let's see. I just really always had such a fortunate ascension in my career, and with the help of many collaborators along the way, the hardest things for me at times was sort of creating within specific boundaries. When you get to work with certain artists, especially like Michael Jackson, or for this generation, Beyonce, you get the opportunity to create on such a high level. And sometimes when you get a taste of that and have that as your experience, it's hard sometimes, or it can be more challenging to figure out creative ways to make it just as good for not as much money or time, it forces you to sort of stretch your wings, so I like to say that, I can create in any environment, and have, so that artists and companies and brands who embrace the idea of production on any level don't get scared away by thinking that everything has to, look and feel so enormous that they can't afford it. Because things, honestly, the times are changing. So when we did Scream in '95, it did get to cost $7 million. I don't think that many artists would invest that kind of money in a property these days because the return on the investment can be so tricky at times. But yeah, I think that would be my advice to myself is just really, really stay open to the process and don't get discouraged by, what you don't have. Always realize what you do have.
Yes, that's a great point right there. And what you mentioned earlier is that in 1990, you started off with Janet Jackson for her Rhythm Nation World Tour, which ultimately led to such a beautiful 20-plus-year relationship with legendary music artist Michael Jackson. Can you reflect on your relationship with the King of Pop and give us a glimpse into what that creative process was like collaborating with him on so many amazing projects? You were on Scream, Smooth Criminal, Remember the Time, This Is It. So many things that are classics and timeless. What was that like?
Well, growing up as a kid from Atlanta and watching when Thriller debuted, actually seeing, Motown 25 and the Moonwalk debut, seeing the global premiere of Thriller, seeing the global premiere of Smooth Criminal, and Beat It. And then knowing early on that I saw myself in the project. It was that abandon and lack of fear that really allowed me to visualize that. And I tell young people all the time, who says you can't do it? You got to be strategic and systematic in how you get there. Sometimes you have to have realistic expectations for the work that you put in. But for me, I literally imagined myself and I would eat cereal and watch Smooth Criminal, and I would watch Beat It, and I would watch Rhythm Nation, and imagine myself in those experiences. And I went to the Bad concert and saw Michael live for the first time. And I saw Neil Dance was on stage with him. And I said, okay, that's what I want to do. So everything from that moment on, I felt ordered my steps to that point. And if it didn't make sense, that's why I talk about the car analogy. If I wouldn't get in a car that wasn't going to the destination I want to go to. So I surrounded myself with people that I felt could get me access or at least an opportunity to be in those spaces. And that was my focus. And so I really just kind of did that, and early on, realized that it was profitable, and of course having had to convince my parents, that it really could be a career. I just put one foot in front of the other, and I think it was just that the fact that I didn't have any fear. I think as we get older, we start to concern ourselves with things that are not in our control. When you're younger, you go, you want to stretch your legs. You want to see how far
Yes.
you can take it. Right. So I always try, especially, at every birthday, I try to just sort of reflect and remember that part of my experience, because that sort of gives me inspiration for the next part of it, because things can be daunting, but they don't have to scare you. They should just make you aware.
I love that.
Yeah,
And,
let them make you aware.
yes.
And
And it,
because Michael would say, it's perfect timing. Michael would say, fear does not belong in the room. It has not earned a place in the room. It has not. So if you kind of think about things from that way, and you can always figure out a solution, you just have to be okay with realizing the facts, having difficult conversations, heartfelt but difficult, and I also believe that no, and I've heard this somewhere before, and I coined it as my own though, but no No is the beginning of a negotiation.
I'm actually going to hold on to that one.
It's a good one.
Yes, I'm keeping that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, that actually goes into my next question because in 2009, you were named the associate director and choreographer of This Is It with Michael Jackson, which unfortunately became his very last project due to his untimely death.
Mhm.
Can you describe what those final moments were like working with Michael Jackson, and what is a special memory that you will hold on to forever?
Oh, the all the moments were always joyous. They were always joyful. I heard the Pharrell song during the Louis Vuitton show, and I was like, that really, really quantifies a lot of what Michael continues to mean to me and so many, right? I
Mm-hmm.
could hear him on the song, but they were all joyous. Even the moments for This Is It, they were action packed. They were full of, highs and lows because we were putting together up until that time the biggest production the world had known, touring production anyway. And the pressure was immense, but we did some great work. We just didn't make it to the finish line in the way we had planned. So, of course, it was heartbreaking and continues to be, um, very difficult to even come to grips with Michael's passing. But what he did was left us music, he left us messages, he left us, an agenda, to really sort of do our part to maintain the planet. And we see now through everything that's going on that he's right. He's been right. He was in a mask. It was satin, but it was over 20 years ago. So before the Al Gore and Greenpeace and all those things, Michael was yelling out about what he felt his purpose was. Among his purpose was to help us realize the sensitivity of the planet. And, as we approach, um, if we've crossed the 13-year threshold of his passing, the 10-year anniversary of MJ1 is this month at his birthday weekend, which is August 29th in Las Vegas and Mandalay Bay Resort. So, he's always in our heart. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about what he continues to mean to the world and what sort of solutions he'd help the world leaders come to at this time. Because, yeah, relationships with so many of them. I think that the world would have benefited greatly, for Michael Jackson being alive at this point in history.
That's powerful right there.
I agree. And I feel it. I think it's the truth. I mean, I think that a
That's
lot of what we see socially, classism, the racial divide that we continue to live in, even though it was different, he experienced it in a very unique experience that we as a people benefited from learning about. We just didn't
deliver great music
hear it.
about that.
Yes, we just didn't hear it in the way yet. You know, it was ahead of its time. All the music, the visuals, everything, his message, it was ahead of its time. We just were naive to the fact that he literally was spelling out, what was true. And we, before the internet's popularity and before, people's curiosity about, other things involving socioeconomics, he was all over it.
That's what you call a true visionary, right?
Agreed. A visionary, a prophet. Yeah. All those things.
And one sidebar, I want to throw this out here. I grew up loving Michael Jackson. I'm like a diehard fan. I have a whole room dedicated to him, which my husband finally allowed me to do. So
Right on.
growing up, my mom gave me the Thriller VHS tape because I always wanted to dance, but funds, we weren't able to afford it. So she was like, here, take
Right.
this tape, figure it out. So that was the very first video I ever watched to learn how to dance. I knew the entire Thriller dance top to bottom. So it developed and blossomed into a deep love for Michael Jackson. And as I got older, I had a niece, and I don't know how, or actually I do know how, but my love transferred onto her. So now she is equally
Good.
as obsessed. So
Great.
one thing I wanted to throw out that she was like, Aunt Angel, if you can just do this one thing, she wanted me to relay to you how much she loves you as well, because she watches all of your choreography instructions through the, what is it, the Michael Jackson Wii game, the Michael Jackson
Yeah.
Experience.
Yes.
And she was like,
Yes.
please, the only thing, if anything you do, just please tell him how much I appreciate his work too. So I wanted to throw out that
Oh,
honorable mention for my niece
thank
Kayla.
you. What's her name?
Kayla.
Oh, Kayla. All right, Kayla. I thank you so, so much. And I hope you continue to master the Wii game. And, and also, too, we do other newer classes as well. My website, travispayne.com, has all that information. And I hope that we can dance together in person or on video, whatever. But, the opportunity that I have to participate in the education of the next generation of performers, is another thing I'm super excited about, and one of my, short-term goals, to really get into a position both here and in Atlanta, my hometown,
Mhm.
where, I can really do more workshops, more classes, more activities that I feel will prepare them for, careers that would exceed mine.
Especially in times like this, I feel like the
Mhm.
world has been going through so much, especially with our youth. So many
Yep.
people are dying, violence in so many
Hmm.
neighborhoods and areas. It's nice that people like you are providing outlets for our youth to see that there's so many options out here in the world that you can do and flourish in.
Yeah, I just worked with the Propel program, which is sponsored by Apple, and that was HBCU students, 40 of them. We met at Clark University, Atlanta, and it was curated by Joseph Barrett, and we had a wonderful experience where I did a intensive workshop on storytelling through visuals.
Mm,
And so I was able to talk about, film and television creation, content creation, as we call it today. And then, of course, filming for the stage, versus videos or movies, just. And so it was a wonderful exchange. And so the plan is to take it international next year, so hopefully your listeners and your viewers will take part in that too, especially if they're in HBCUs. Look out for that opportunity. And
definitely.
yeah, it was really, really fun. And I was among some luminaries, from the management and the music production space as well. And it was great. It was great.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, when your career took off, you began to work with countless A-list celebrities such as Patti LaBelle, Mariah Carey,
Mhm.
TLC, Usher, Beyonce. The list goes on. I could take hours naming everyone you worked with. What do you believe is the key to maintaining success and longevity in the entertainment industry, which is sometimes it can make or break someone where you have success one day and nothing the next day? What do you believe is the key to maintaining that success?
Evolution.
Mm.
Evolution. I think in any discipline, you have got to stay up on what it is. Doctors continue to study, and have more higher learning involved. I think as a creative, you should as well. It certainly helps you in the fact that if you can learn another discipline that, like, for me, if it's filmmaking or if it's, if it's producing television, then it will behoove me to learn more about everything it takes to do that. That's why I love Prince so much. Oh, look, see, an inspiration. I mean, that was our era. But what I loved about him is that he was self-contained and he was able to do much of, if not all, of everything necessary to create his art. So
Yes.
for me, I try to add to that. Right? There used to be a time where you were very dependent on someone to help you visualize something that you want to, you know, present to an artist or present to a company. Now there's ways you can do it yourself, with software. but you have to be interested in figuring it out. So to me, I tell everybody, your devices are your silent secretaries. Make them work for you. Get them to do the things that'll help you do what you do better.
I like that. Now, out of the other amazing things you do outside of dance, you also have a J-pop group called Travis Japan. Uh,
Yes.
can you tell us a little bit about Travis Japan and what was the inspiration behind developing this music group?
Well, Johnny's Entertainment's a dear friend, the company for years. And we set off on working with many of their artists. But one time I got the opportunity to collaborate on building a group. So we built Travis Japan and trained them for about 5 years. And so they came to America. They were able to do America's Got Talent. They got a deal. And now we're on their third single. So it was a true East meets West collaboration. And I'm doing more of them. I have an artist, Sho Hirasawa, that we're working with and I've been developing and collaborating with on a record label that we have with a partner in Singapore. And we're going to do distribution Asia and America. So it's just an expansion of what I do already.
Mm-hmm. You're a jack of all trades.
I try. I try. I try.
And in addition to that as well, you have a podcast too,
Yes.
called Full Out Podcast, and that is with Stacey Alexis Walker. Can you share a little bit about Full Out Podcast and what sets you apart from other other podcasts in the creative space?
Well, Full Out is all things dance, music, arts, and entertainment. We talk about things from our unique perspectives as creators and consumers. And we've been doing it for one season. We're starting our second season this month. And along with our partner, Jamil Jones, we have been able to really enjoy the process. And we've had some great interviews and have some really interesting ones lined up for this season, as well as more in the field and on location opportunities, where we will give, viewers a firsthand look at what we're doing and how we do it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, shout outs to the new season. Onward and
Thank
upward.
you. Yes, thank you so much. But all of that, is available on my website, travispayne.com. And, I'm really active on social media. My Instagram and fan base are Travis Payne 1. My Twitter and TikTok are It's Travis Payne. And I'm Travis Payne Official on Facebook. And I just always enjoy collaborating. So reach out, you'd be surprised, because I have a lot of interest in all things arts and entertainment, and it's certainly if it's creative with as strong a business aspect, I love it. Reach out to me through my website.
There we go. You heard
something out. Yeah, let's figure something out. I always think it's important, and, remember, just one foot in front of the other. Focus on what you do best, expand from there.
Exactly. Now, out of everything that you have done thus far in your career, what would you say has been the most memorable or your favorite moment thus far?
Favorite.
I know there's a lot in the vault, so it's probably hard to choose.
There are. I just have to say, one of my very first artist that I ever collaborated with on my own was Tevin Campbell.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. We did the single Just Ask Me To for Boys in the Hood, directed by John Singleton. And that, set me on my way as a choreographer. Of course, all of the work with Janet and Michael, Scream, Ghost, Dangerous, a big one for me. This Is It, clearly, but that first one, I have to thank Mr. Tevin, and I got to see him recently, at Michael Jackson's house for the Heal LA Halloween event that his children do. And so that was a super full circle moment. And, now with the ability that we all have as creators, thank you to the Tyler Perrys and the Oprahs of the world, and all of those great creators that have come before us that allowed us to shine with them. I thank them. And I think it's now our turn to do that, for the next generation of performers, and then soon it'll be your turn and then your protege's turn,
Yes.
So, yeah, that's what it's about. And certainly within our communities, because it's possible now. It's really possible now. I had to move out of Atlanta, to get my career, but now I'm returning, you see. So, because it's possible to work there, at a very, very high global level. So I'm excited about that.
Yes, and speaking of giving back to youth and the next generation and preparing them for what's next, what advice would you like to give to young and aspiring dancers, choreographers, directors? What would you like to share with them?
I tell people all the time, obviously have your focus and be very, very honest with yourself about your ability and what you need to work on. Don't expect accolades that you don't deserve and be mad that you don't get them. But then do your best to learn a little bit about a lot. If you know how what you do plays into the whole pie, if you can understand the perspective of the director, the producer, the lawyer, the financier, the understanding, something about rights, understanding about your likeness, understanding about how to save your money, understanding about how to invest your money, understanding the foundation of and think of yourself as a business, then you can only build from there. It's those people who, sort of have no plan, that sort of wander through things, that can be lucky enough to stumble on a major lick, but haven't prepared how to parlay that into real, work or finance or success, whatever you quantify, winning as. But if you can look at it like that, think of yourself as a business. People are seeing the term brand now. Brand used to mean cereal. Now brand means a person and what they bring and their area of expertise and their influence, and their essence. So if you kind of cultivate, what that is for yourself, and get help. And there's a YouTube video for everything, you know. So if you get stuck, you can find inspiration. It's all there. When I started, we had to go literally to bookstores and buy books on different things. We had to go to the magazine stand to get the periodicals and see the fashion magazines. We had to go to the library to see all of the historic,
Really had to do
writings.
some work.
We had to travel. Now we don't, And for those who are fortunate enough, you can project it on a wall and look at it really big, So there's no excuse. There's no excuse now.
So true. Now, what is next for Mr. Travis Payne? What can our listeners expect to see from you in the future? I'm sure you have a lot of amazing projects. You say you have workshops that are in the works. What can we expect from you?
Well, there's the education piece, but then there's the production piece. Travis Payne Productions is developing original content for television and film streaming, as well as reality-based docu-follow and docu-series. Some really exciting documentaries. So that's the filmic sort of content side. But of course, I always am working on concerts as a director and choreographer, live experiences, multimedia experiences. But I'm thrilled about all of that and continuing that with my team that's in Atlanta and Los Angeles and Tokyo. And launching the next artist that I told you about, Sho Hirasawa, on the Hyris label, and being just really sort of open to things that are entertainment based, that really sort of allow me to continue to, create a legacy that my parents, my ancestors, everybody, can be proud of. I think it's time. And it's possible. That's the idea. It's possible.
Very possible. And you're a walking testament to that.
Yes. And I thank God every day, all the time, throughout the day. Yeah.
I need you to remind our listeners, you already shared your information earlier, but can you tell us one more time before we wrap up, how can our listeners stay up to date with everything that is going on in your world? How can they find you, your social media, your website, all of that good stuff?
Absolutely. I would be more than happy to have you follow me My website is travispayne.com. You can hit me up there, send me an email. And then my social medias, I'm Travis Payne 1 on Instagram and Fanbase. Check out Fanbase if you don't already know. And then it's Travis Payne on Twitter and TikTok, and Travis Payne Official on Facebook.
Yes, make sure you guys follow him, support, see all of the amazing things that he has going on and will continue to do. But before you guys go, make sure you also follow us. We are on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at _all-of-the-above-1. And make sure you check out our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button, because that is where you will see amazing interviews such as this one with the legendary and talented Travis Payne. We are at All of the Above Podcast, and also check out our website at www.alltheabove-podcast.com. That is where you will continue to see more information about all the above, so you will never miss a beat. Thank you so much again, Travis Payne. This is
pleasure.
Probably one of my favorite interviews.
Awesome. Let's do it again. And then
Hey,
we'll have to have you on Full Out. We'll have to have you. So let's do that.
I would love that.
Yep. I think it would be good.
Yes. Thank you so much. And before we go, I'm your girl, Angel Marie, and we will see you guys next time.
Wednesdays at 7, Angel Marie and Kevin playing the illest records, bringing us back together. Philly is all season, swimming through any weather, leaving the track bleeding. Way we pull it together, we applying my pressure.